Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I just said I'm feeling lots of glutes today and hip. If anybody has another request, let me know. Oh, good. Lisa's giving it a thumbs up. Great. Excellentro, as Jonathan would say. Let's start sitting. Because I feel like we haven't started like that in a long time. I'm going to plug in the mic. Okay. A little brighter. Here we go. All right. Happy Thursday. Let's sit. Let's sit on a pillow. Unless you are super duper comfortable, you can sit on something even higher than just one pillow. You can sit on two pillows on the floor. Just for the ease of movement, hip is always, for the hip, sitting a little more elevated is much better. All right. So I'm sitting cross-legged with my right foot in front. You can have the left foot in front, just knowing next round we'll switch that. Let the shoulders be relaxed, maybe even close your eyes and just check in. That's almost, we never really check in. We really only check in when something is not feeling too good. Then we are forced to check in. Just kind of check in. How's your body feel? Where are your shoulders? How much contact do your sits bones have on the pillow or the earth, wherever you're sitting? And just taking a couple of breaths here. And with every exhale, see if you can let the shoulders go just a little bit more. Maybe even letting the hands just drape in front of the pelvis. And then we'll start just tiny little anterior posterior tilts. So the idea is that my sitting bones are little hooks. They actually look like little hooks if we look at the bones, that we're letting those hooks pull down and back, and that's what tilts our pelvis forward. And then as we hook them down and push the pillow or the ground forward, we're going to tilt back. Very small, because at the very beginning, to allow it to get to hip movement, it's mostly we move from our spine and we're holding our hips in place. So we have to be very tuned in a way and very deliberate to saying this is what's going to move, because our brain doesn't really discriminate. It's like, get to the fridge, it does whatever it has to do, right? Or wherever we have to go. So conscious movement is really about, where am I moving? Where am I not moving? How much effort does it take to not move? It's actually a lot of effort. And then let's start with some circles here. So we're pivoting on the pelvis to one side. As we come forward, take a little moment, pull the sits bones a little more back, and then back up your kidneys, push your legs down into the ground and reach your knees away from the pelvis. And then we'll pivot over to the other side. And the idea is always, I am moving the ground underneath me. And it's a bizarre thought. But if you can get that, if you can really feel you're moving the ground underneath you, your whole body is going to just be more engaged. You're working harder than just thinking, I'm moving myself on the earth. Take another circle here in the direction you're going. And then we're going to reverse that circle. One sits bone lifts up. We're falling back, letting the sits bones hook forward. And I'm going to get off my pillow just because I get a little more work has to happen. We'll do one more circle. Rolling back, your hands can reach forward. Rolling over to the side, there's a little side bend involved. And then stay in a forward bend, meaning my sits bones are pulling back and my spine is trying to drape forward. Now, becoming really aware of what is your head doing. Am I leading with my chin? Am I letting my forehead just completely drop off? And can I do not the one or the other? Can I keep my head as the fancy vertebrae on top of my spine and just be here in that forward bend? You're going to have to push your legs really firmly down, turn on your glutes, backing up the diaphragm and the kidneys a little bit. And you can have your hands assist as much as you want or as little as you want. Range of motion is not so important, but we want to try and coax a little more range out of this shape. Can you pull the sits bones a little more back and maybe come a little bit more forward? Your legs should be really on. Your buttocks should be really on. As I said before, I'm feeling glutes today. So my emphasis will be on hips and glutes and legs. And then push down into your legs to come up. Keep the kidneys back. So I'm just going to show really quick bad version. And I don't say, nothing's bad about it, but we don't want to lift like this. That is a lot of pressure, a lot of work in my back. I want to keep my back out of it. And by keeping the kidneys back, there is no work in my low back or my middle back. That's where we want to take it out for all of us, pretty much. Very good. It's going to straighten your legs, shake it out a little bit. And you're going to cross the right leg over the left leg, right ankle over left ankle. And you can still be sitting on your pillow here. And we're going to just go ahead and rock a little bit side to side. This is I think they call it butt walking in physical therapy, where they actually then end up moving, which we're not going to do. We're just going to pick up one hip and the other hip. Imagining we're sitting in a boat and we're steering the boat. One hip lifts. And, every little bit counts. This doesn't have to be crazy big. Let's do one more time each side. Lifting one hip. There's a lot of oblique, a lot of quadratus work here. And then let that release. Shake the legs out. And then we're going to sit cross-legged with the other leg in front. And this is probably, if you don't remember which one was in front, the one that feels less easy or comfortable or just comes easy. If you always feel like I want to sit here, that's the other side. Little cat and cow. Find your pelvis. Again, this exercise, I can sing songs about it. Not that you want to hear that, but it's the ability for your pelvis to move first and foremost is one of the most primal functional things you can do for your body. And most people don't move there at all. Especially when you hook the sits bones down into the floor and pull them back. Hip flexion, that deep crease in the hip joint. Very, very, it's kind of gone for modern life. And then we're going to come into our forward bend. Pull the knees apart, pull the sits bones back. Maybe the fingertips are on the floor. Find your breath. Keep yielding the kidneys back. Keep pulling the kidneys back so the lumbar spine gets lengthened and tractioned. The abdominals are just supporting the organs and the spine, and the movement has to come from your hip joint, from your hip muscles. Easy shoulders. Are you still engaging your glutes? Can you engage them more? Can you re-engage them? They might already have stopped working, which is very normal. And then push down to come up. And we're going to circle. Let's roll back first. And then we're going to pull over to one side. I'm on my left, pushing the sits bone back, reaching the knees apart. And as you come to the right side, reach that left knee a little further. And push the earth opposite direction. As you come forward, back up the kidneys, because here's where the spine wants to extend. The backward is like, yeah, we're all kind of on the same page here. We have to round, but the forward bend is still spinal flexion. There's no extension here. Let's reverse the circle. Kidneys roll back. Work the legs, work the legs. And the bigger the circle, the slower the circle, the more your core has to participate. One more time. Go twice as slow as you're already going. Nice, very good. And then come back to your straight legs. Now my left leg is on top. And we're going to do our little rocking the boat. One hip lifts. And maybe you're falling over. That's good too. There's no reason not to use your hand. It's just another, why not? One more time each side. Very good. All right. And then go ahead and come to the floor, to your mat. You're going to lie on your side. Have a pillow close by if you want something for your head. And we're just going to go ahead and find a little comfortable position. I'm on my right side here. Let the head come a little bit forward. Let the low ribs, the kidney area, come a little bit backward. Make it a little more rounded than you think you want to be. My feet are stacked. My hips are stacked, left hip on top of the right hip. And you can put your hand right there to the left hip bone and even suggest a little bit more forward. And then maybe, might see this on the wrinkles of my shirt, you can draw the kidneys a little bit more back. And you're going to go ahead and we'll do our clamshell. So really small, we're reaching the left knee to the corner of the room or far away from your hip, depending where you are in the room, obviously. And we're not really thinking about height. You want to think about the contraction in the butt and the turning of the thigh bone. My teacher, Irene, would always say, if you never danced the Juilliard, you probably don't have a ton of external hip rotation. And she would know, she teaches at Juilliard. So we're reaching the knee and trying to exaggerate the turn, which is not the same thing as lifting the knee. It can be, but it not necessarily is. You feel this really deep in your buttocks, right in the middle. Great. Now, keep holding on to that left hip. We're going to pick up the left leg. Now, with that,
let's also get a little mouse house going on the right side. You can even put your left hand right underneath the lowest ribs. And notice if you, once you lift the left leg up, if your ribs are pushing down onto your hand. You can also check in and see if once you lift that left leg up, if you're pushing your right leg more into the ground. A lot of times people say, oh, when I lift that top leg, this hip hurts more. Yep, that might be the case. Because if we, and the brain, again, it doesn't discriminate. It just says, well, lift leg, I'll do whatever it takes. Sometimes it pushes down here more. So we're just lifting the top leg and trying to keep the bottom leg fairly light and from pushing. And this is a conscious decision. Again, this is where conscious movement is key. We're keeping that leg lifted, keeping the kidneys back. We're going to turn our leg. Here comes our internal rotation. Stay for a moment. Let's stay here and really explore, where are the kidneys? Can I soften them a little more back? Can I hug my top hip a little more forward? Where is my knee? Is my knee hyperextended, or can I bend it a little bit? Is my foot relaxed? My toes are pointing to the floor. Then bend the knee. Keep the legs still lifted, and then lower it down. So it's a long time you are demanding this leg to be working. Lift it up again, soften the kidneys back, turn and reach. How far can you turn that left knee to the floor? Keep the leg out there. We're going to lift it up. We're going to turn it up, and we're going to turn it down. Keep your left hand on your hip bone, and notice if your hip is going to want to do this. To your brain, again, it feels kind of like we're doing it, but if you really hold that hip, holy moly, it's a lot of buttocks here, a lot of hip work. And especially the internal rotation is lengthening the glutes. We're getting out of that stuck outer shape. I'm going to bend the knee and lower down. I hope you're already feeling this. I certainly do. You can lift the leg up. We're going to turn and straighten and reach, and we're going to do our circles. Now, the circles don't have to be very big. They could be the size of a quarter, but really check in with your hip bone. Is the hip moving back as your leg is moving back? Can I just pull the thigh bone right at the border where the sitting bone and the thigh bone meet, on that junction there? That's where we want to work from. Check in. Am I bending my knee for my brain to think something is happening behind me? Or can I keep the leg somewhat straight? And then reverse your circle and really go slow. It's going to get toasty in there. Soften the kidneys back. Are your shoulders up in your ears? Because, whoa, this is getting really challenging now. Let it burn a little bit. We'll do one more circle. Bend the knee, lower down. Holy crap. Excuse me. Holy moly. Give it a little pat here. Let it just settle. And then let's do one more thing. You're going to straighten both legs here. You're going to turn the bottom toes to the floor. So here's external rotation, and here is internal rotation. Left leg turns in, toes and knee turn to the floor. We're going to lift the leg up again. Now, if this is getting to be too vulnerable, where you feel like you can't support yourselves, a lot of belly work too, you can always bend the bottom leg. We're going to swing the top leg forward. Use your left hand as a little kickstand here, and then pull the thigh bone back. Stay back for a moment. Check in. Knee is unlocked. Foot is relaxed. Swing the leg forward again. Stick your butt out. Soften the kidneys back. And then pull the thigh bone back to your sits bone. Every time your leg goes behind, you need to think butt. Sits bone back, swinging forward. And your swing could be 2-3 inches. Doesn't have to be huge. Notice when you go back, is your knee tensing or is your glutes tensing? 2 more like that. Now, if you want to get this to be a little more core, don't hold on with your hand to the floor. Just balance on your lower elbow, forearm, and leg here. That leg is not sleeping. It is active. And then we're going to lower the top leg down and then roll onto your back for the second check-in of the day. And just feel that. Feel the activity in the left hip. Feel also the release in your left lower back. Maybe your left hip bone feels a little wider from midline, from the navel, than your right hip bone. That would be great. Yeah, maybe your leg even turns a little bit more out, the left leg than the right leg. Just allowing for that release to settle in, where we engaged certain muscles so other muscles were able to let go. And that's the principle of how I understand at this point on June 23rd, the body, 2022, the right engagement allows for more release. Okay, let's go to the other side. I'm going to flip around here. And we're starting with the knees bent. I'm going to stick the butt out, send the sits bones and the kidneys back, diaphragm back. Again, rounding a little bit, support your head. Don't let your head just hang on the floor like that. Have a pillow or your forearm here. And then we're going to make sure the knees are matching up. We're going to pick up, take your right hand to the right hip bone, suggest it a little forward, soften the bra strap area back, kidney area back. And then we're just going to do our tiny little lifts. Really, less is more. If we always go for big range, it's really hard to control that. But if you start with a smaller range and do that really well, well meaning to the specifications of the exercise, the range will increase. There's no way around it. Easy, relaxed feet. Reaching the knee away. That's going to help even to take that right hip a little more forward. We'll do 3 more lifts. And you might feel, I can tell on this side, there's much less contact. It's much harder for me to feel what's going on. It's just, still, where is my rotator on this right side? Good. Okay, now we're going to lift the leg up, hold it there for a moment. So here we're looking for the drop of the thigh bone down in the hip socket. Maybe find a little mouse house on the left side and then lower back down. Lifting the leg up. Again, drop is happening and you can lift as high as you want, but don't use your right hip to lift the right leg. You can hope, if you need to check, see that the hip is not involved. It is involved in a way, but it's not involved in we're shrugging the hip to lift the leg, right? That is not what we want. We can do it, just not right now. We did it in that boat exercise, right? That rocking boat exercise. Let's do 2. Take your time. And on the next one, we're going to add the straightening. We're going to turn the knee. Now, the leg is not going to end up really far behind you. It's going to, if you look down, you definitely should still be seeing your toes here. We'll turn the knee to the floor. The foot turns to the floor. Feel that sensation in the glute. You should be feeling something there, hopefully. And you're going to bend and lower down. Now, on the next one, we're going to practice internal, external rotation. You're going to lift, turn the leg in, and you're going to turn the leg out.
Keep your right hip. And this is now really telling how much turn do you have here? Again, I'm assuming nobody here attended Juilliard. It's not going to be huge. It's okay. Let me know if you did. Turn. Knee, shin, and toes turn together. And they're turning right from here. And then bend the knee and lower down. Very nice. We'll lift again. We're going to circle. Turn the leg down. And we're going to keep that right hip. Again, if you want your hand to help you here, keep your hand there. That's really good. Some people like to keep, I see some clients, they like to have their hand on their buttocks and feel every time that leg pulls back, oh, is my butt actually engaging? Because it could not. I've done it. I've seen it done many, many times. And it might not be the most intense contraction where it's not a lot of weight we're pulling around here. Later, this will be a little more intense. Let's reverse that circle. But you want to feel there's some muscle work going on, right? That's because just swinging the leg around without the muscle doing it, just not quite the same. Very good. Oh yeah, now it's starting to get toasty in here. Bend the knee and lower down. Whoo. Let's straighten both legs. If it was a little too wobbly on the other side, if you want to keep that bottom leg bent, very much okay. Or turn the left foot out. Keep a slight bend in that knee. But you can feel even with turning that leg out, you're going to feel your left rotators working. We're going to pick up the right leg and we're going to swing. Right hand could be a little kickstand. And we're just going to go ahead, having that foot be fairly relaxed. And you can try that. Engage the foot and really engage the knee and see where the work goes. It actually is more knee shin. We want the work to be as high up in the joint, buttocks, hamstrings, belly as we can. And you're going to see how far you want to kick. Don't let the hip move or let it move as little as possible. You might decrease range of motion in your thigh bone swinging. Not a bad thing. I forgot to count. Let's do one more after this. And even notice, oh, is my foot starting to tense up to help my butt? Probably, maybe. Release. Roll onto your back. Ugh. And feel it out. I'm going to bring in the Shavasana for Pilates. That's my goal. We need to feel it. We need to allow for it to settle and for the nervous system to integrate it, for your conscious brain to integrate it, and for the subcortical. Like we need the body to accept what we just did to it. Very good. All right, while we're here in our backs, we're gonna do some bridging because there's no butt focused class without a bridge. Here we go. You wanna walk your feet in parallel. If your head is a little too far, the chin is a little too lifted, which will access in our bridge or the back of the neck, do put a little something underneath your head. I want to try and have the front and the back of the neck evenly long. And the closer you put your feet, you don't want your head obviously to be here. No, that's not, but just anywhere where your head is straight and not dropped off too far. So feet are fairly close together. The closer you bring your feet, the harder this gets. And especially for most of us, we all are more stuck in that external rotation with a tighter pulled glutes. Having a little internal rotation and adduction, so the legs being really close together, is going to be more of a challenge. Arms are by your side. Find your heavy sits bones. Do 2 or 3 of those little pelvic tilts. This is so beautiful for the lumbar. This is medicine for your whole body. This is a very primal movement as well that we really don't do. We're going to keep in this with the heavy sits bones, heavy kidneys. Start to pull the shoulders into the ground. And that is kind of almost, I want to emphasize the pulling with the shoulders more, just because our back bodies need so much more work. Going to start to add the pulling of your feet into the ground. So shoulders pull, feet pull, and then let it release. And let the shoulders pull. Notice if that pops your ribs up and maybe even your chin up. See if you can keep that chin, keep the ribs heavy, pull the shoulders, pull with your feet. Find the activity in your hamstrings. Maybe even your buttock starts to turn on. And maybe there's a tiny little lift in the pelvis. So really, really small. Watch out. Are your knees still together? If your feet are close together, obviously. Or did your knees already find their way out? Let's try to keep them with your toes. And then slowly lower down. Let's do another tiny lift, please. It's the smaller this lift starts, the better. Because we want to allow for the ribs to hang down and back, the kidneys to be heavy. You're going to pull with your feet, pull with your shoulders. Find your breath. And I'm giving lately the challenge, can you cramp your hamstrings here? Can you pull your heels so much to your shoulders that you're actually getting a Charlie horse? And congratulations if you do. And slowly lower down. We want to work on that really deep range always. We want to be proficient in any range, obviously. But that's really good because we're going to go along very shortly. You're going to pull the shoulders, pull the feet, drop the sits bones, drop the kidneys, find your breath here. Can you drop the ribs a little more? Drop the sits bones a little more. Pull with the feet and the shoulders a little more. And maybe that's what's going to help you lift your pelvis up a little more. Find your breath. And lower down. Take a little check in. It's also really nice. So let the legs, the hamstrings release for a moment. Notice, hopefully, there is a little more heaviness, a little more release into the floor, a little more length in the front body, a little more tone in the back body. We'll go a little further. We're going to go single leg now. Walk your feet now definitely close together. Pull with your shoulders, pull with your feet. We're going to lift the pelvis up. Oh, I can feel my hamstrings wanting to cramp. Sits bones stay heavy. Let's shift to the left and let's shift to the right. We're going to just do little typewriter hips. And I think all of you on today know which one is your more mobile hip. Because we've explored that before. Keep shifting. If you haven't, then just see as you go side to side, which side feels much easier to go to. That is probably your more mobile side. And we're going to rein the mobile side in. So I'm going to be here on my left now, which is my mobile side. And I'm going to not go as far as I can. I'm going to plant the big toe down, left big toe down, and let's lift the right foot up. Can you rein? Can you support and hug your left hip with your left glute medius, or the whole glute actually? Let's reach the right foot up to the ceiling. Drop the kidneys, drop the sits bones, drop the diaphragm, and push, literally push that right foot up to the ceiling. Feel the right quads coming on. Maybe you feel the hamstrings on the right as well, but engage them. And then set your right foot down next to the left foot again. Maybe your big toes will touch. Hopefully they'll touch. Now we're shifting over to the right. Right big toe heavy, right hip. If this is your mobile side, don't let her go so far. Pick up the left foot, soften the kidneys, push push that left leg up to the ceiling. Find your breath, work your shoulders, pull with your triceps, pull with the forearm. So much. Set that left foot back down. If you take a break, if you need a break, take a break. If not, let's shift back over to the left. Let the kidneys drop, let the sits bones drop. Hold the hip. Slightly sassy, but really only slightly. Reach the right foot up. Let's do some leg lowers here. So my right knee is not really going all the way straight. It's slightly bent, but I am turning on the quads and the hamstrings. I'm literally tightening the muscles around my thigh bone. As you lower down, soften the diaphragm a little more. Maybe your left leg is shaking now. Let's go one more time. Keep that right heel now on the floor. You could bend that knee quite a bit. Keep it as long as you can, the leg, though. Not both legs are at the same bent position here. Keep breathing, keep pulling with your shoulders. Flex your right foot and dig that heel down into the ground. Could you lift your left foot up? Find your breath. Use your shoulders a lot. Lower the left foot back down and straighten both legs. Let the legs turn out. Let the inner thighs breathe a bit. I'm sure they worked really hard. And then bend your knees again. We'll do the other side. Make sure your big toes are close together. Heels are slightly apart. Sits bones heavy. Pull with the shoulders, pull with the feet, lifting up into your little bridge. Again, tiny bridge. Don't go high. I promise you, you work harder if you don't go high. We're going to shift to the right. Right hip sassy. Rein her in if she is the mobile hip. And then you're going to pick up your left foot. You're going to straighten it up. Straighten meaning I'm not going to lock my knee, right? I'm going to have a little bend. I'm reaching through the leg. It's a difference. If I reach and if I just straighten. Find your breath, find your shoulders. Make sure your right big toe is heavy, right inner heel is heavy, right inner thigh is heavy. Let's lower that left leg down. Soften the kidneys. You really should feel the glutes here because they are literally pulling your leg into extension, hip extension. Same thing that we did on the other side. It's just a little more intense because my glutes are off the ground. Is this already the third one? I don't know. We're going to pull that left heel down, flex the foot, stay, pull with the shoulders, pull with the triceps, drop the ribs. Let the little shake show up if it's showing up. Let both inner thighs drop towards each other. Now we're going to summon the long hamstrings. You might just lift the right foot a little bit. Maybe you're going to lift the right foot a whole lot. Maybe you're going to reach your right leg up to the ceiling. And then slowly lower that right foot back down. Lower everything. Straighten both legs. Enjoy. Let that flush happen. Let it settle. Feel how long your lower back hopefully feels. The kidneys almost touching the ground. They're really, really close. Okay. Now let's slowly come up to standing. And I want to encourage you, we're going to do a little fun thing. I hope it's fun. See if you can come up to standing without using your hands. And if you have to use your hand, you use your hand. But I want to try and kind of work on something that we don't have to use our hands. And then once you're up, let's come back down to the floor without your hands. I did this with a client before and she's like, can I use my elbow? I'm like, yeah, you can use your elbow. Of course. You can also use your hand. But The weirder we train, come back up to standing. Take your time. There's no need for doing this in a certain amount of time, but the weirder we train, the more bizarre things we do in a really controlled environment. Your floor, your mat, the more likely it is once you need this in a non-controlled environment, out in the nature, out on the street, I don't know, that your brain is like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I can do that. So again, if you need to use your hand, yeah, use your hand. I just want to plant this little seed that we'll do this one more time. And if this is only your first one, whatever, practice it once or twice a day. Go down to the floor, come back up, and try to do it in an odd way. Now, another odd way could be I'm touching with my right hand my left thigh bone. This is something that I have from Dr. Perry Nicholson. It's on my YouTube. If you ever want to look at that, it's called the Fall Matrix. I think he renamed it since, but it's under that title. So where I'm going through the whole sequence of doing like weird things. You can touch your left hand to your right thigh and roll onto your back. So that's the little excursion we're doing today on that. Just again, to plant a seed. Okay, so let's come all up to standing, and we're going to do a forward bend. Feet are parallel, sits bone distance or wider apart. There's no need for super close legs. And then put your fingertips on the floor, and let's do a little pulsing here. And with the pulsing, I'm really thinking about the sitting bones. It's not so much just bending and straightening the knees. It's really about, can I reach my sits bones down and up? Find your feet. If you ever feel like your feet are not, you think, I don't even know where they are. Like, can I really engage them? Do previous week's video where we're doing a lot of foot loving with a ball. Ideally not a tennis ball. I want to say that again. If you have some kind of a squishier ball, that would be much better. And then slowly round your spine, pull from your legs, slowly to come all the way up to standing. We'll do that again. Parallel feet, bend the knees, round your spine, let your head hang. Put the fingertips on the floor right in front of your feet. And let's just shift a little bit forward. You can even put the whole palm. Bend the knees quite a bit. So no straight legs. And can you just shift forward and backward and start to wake up even more the hamstrings. Our hamstrings are long here. We're trying to get the legs straight. Hamstrings bend the knees. So we're lengthening the hamstrings, but they're under load. They have to work because otherwise you'd fall forward. You'll do like a somersault forward. Where's your breath? Can you lift the kidneys more? Can you drop the crown of the head more? Can you look through your legs? Keep your head heavy, slowly come all the way up. Let's come into an asymmetrical stance. Right foot forward, left foot back. Bend your knees. Hug the left foot a little bit forward. Because we want to distinctively, we just say, this is my front leg. Go. Du bist auf Kamera, Mutti. That's my mom. Bend your knees, round down. Put your fingers on the floor. Find your breath here. Let your head be heavy. And let's see if we can leap a little bit forward and pick up the back foot.
Find your breath. Let the head be heavy. Now, you could do this in little intervals, like just saying, okay, I'm lifting that back foot a little bit up. Pull the right foot down into the ground. But if everything feels good here, keep that right knee bent. Can you reach that left leg up? And your left leg might be here. Don't worry about it. Just practice, like trying to pick up the leg. And then we're going to try and pick up that left hip. Maybe your left hand leaves the floor. Here's a little ode to yoga. Now we're going to drop that left foot back down, slight external rotation, and slowly come up. Pull with your feet. Shake it out. I hope you're feeling your right leg now. I know you're feeling your right leg now. All right, I'm going to turn around for no particular reason. We need to take the right foot back, slight turn out, bend both knees, slowly come down. Now, really important, especially if coming up and down off the floor, it kind of tends to spin you out a little bit. Go slow and breathe. We don't even know sometimes how much we're holding our breath. Fingertips on the floor. Let's pulse. We're going to drop the sits bones and reach the sits bones. We're aiming for the knees to match the toes. So the right knee will turn out a little bit because the toes are turned out a little bit. And then we're going to leap forward. We're standing fully on that left foot. And again, you can do the tiniest little lift here. Any bit counts. Grab on with your toes to the floor and then reach that right leg back. Keep your head heavy. The head wants to look forward. Let's look at your left leg. And then maybe your right hand leaves the floor. And we're going to pick up that right hip a little bit more. Your right buttocks should be on as much as your left leg is on. It's just a different way. Find your breath. Pull that left leg down. Left foot really hold on to the earth. Lift the right hip higher, maybe. And then you're going to set that right foot back down. Toes are going to go down. Bend both knees. Slowly coming up. Wow. Okay. Shake it out. And then let's do a little bit of squatting. I'm going to go ahead, put the right foot in front again. Now, I want to really make this clear. Do have a chair. If you have a chair, if squats are not your thing, they better become your thing. They became mine too. I used to hate them. So you can hold on to something. And I'm not saying go down into a full squat today, if you usually don't. But I want to really invite you to start squatting more. Make sure the right foot turns forward, the right knee is in line with the right toes. The left foot can do whatever. The left foot could even turn in. I mean, even the right foot could turn in, right? We could squat like this. You have to be very cognizant and very conscious about your knees. So we'll keep that right foot, the front foot, the straight foot, and the back foot is the turned out foot. Have a chair, have a kitchen counter, have a table, whatever you need. And you're going to go down halfway, pull your feet down into the floor, use your butt to come up. I want to show a really quick bad version. I had a in studio private last week with a fairly new client, and she said, oh, squats always hurt my back. And so I said, well, show me your squat. She went down and then she did this. And I hope you can see how my back is really hyper arched. And the moment we took her kidneys back, all of a sudden, she's like, wow, I feel my legs. So really important, wherever you are in your squat, however far you go down, you're going to not arch your back. You're going to keep your kidneys back. You're going to pull your toes down. You're going to work your glutes and hamstrings and quads.
Let's do one more here on this side. And if you can, go all the way down. Eventually, I would love for everybody to do a full range squat. And it takes time. One of my teachers would say, think about how many years have you not done this? And then if you do it consciously and you know, on a regular basis, it'll take you less long to get back there than it took you to get out of it. That's for sure. And we're going to come back up, and then let's do the other side. So left foot in front, right foot is slightly turned out. Let's try to get that right hip forward. And little squats, little pulses. Go wherever you can go. But notice the moment you want to go further down, you have to shift slightly back. Because here I'm sitting now on my back foot. I could even pick up that front foot. Pull with your feet, keep the kidneys back, strong belly, strong glutes, strong hamstrings, strong quads. You could even step your back foot into a different position. Ideally, every time we're working a little bit of a different angle in that back leg. Because we don't only want to be good in one position. We want to be choosing from a wide variety of movement. And, you know, if you want to give this a shot, whoops, hold on to a chair. You've got to make sure that your hips are really open here. It's a great way of practicing open hips, right? Do tiny little pulses, tiny little curtsy squats, and release that. Last thing I want to do here to really bring in the full gamut of hip stability and mobility at the same time. Come back to a parallel stance, feet slightly turned in, slight bend in the knees, sit bones slightly back. Let's go to the right. Now, I am very confident that everybody is okay at this point to just pick up a tiny bit. Even if you do, in martial arts, they call this a no shadow kick, I think. So my toe is still on the ground and I'm doing little circles or movements with the left leg here. So I'm not quite on one leg. Now, if this is not a big deal, well, it is a big deal, but if you feel like, oh yeah, I can do this, I want you to try and play a little bit around with standing on one leg and doing something really bizarre on top. And that could be small. We're just making sure our knee and our shin and our foot are not going side to side here. You might notice my hip is moving, and my upper body is moving, but not my knee and my foot. So this is great. This is slacklining, if that's your goal. Shake it out. We'll go to the left side. Last thing here, you're going to shift to the left, sassy left hip, left big toe heavy. We can do the no shadow kick. Right? We can just say, oh yeah, I'm still have contact to the ground. The brain's not gonna hate you for that or feel completely over challenged. And then at some point, maybe that right foot lifts up and maybe the right foot crosses midline. Maybe the right foot crosses midline in the back. So this is life. Life on slack lines. Can we be weird and not fall? You can try doing this brushing your teeth in the morning, maybe. That's a very controlled environment. Give it 20 more seconds. Whatever you're doing, right? You can just do this. I don't care. You can hold onto a chair while you're doing this. But challenging your brain and your body to be a longer time on one leg is going to improve gait. You're not going to shuffle ever. And release. Shake it out. And we're done. So I hope this was fun. It was certainly fun for me. Exploring a little more standing, leg, glute strength as always. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.